The space station was old, dirty, and full of bad smells. It floated in the dark corners of the galaxy, a place where criminals, traitors, and pirates came to make deals. Many dark secrets lived in that station, but one secret was different. Eric, a human traitor, walked down the cold metal hallway. He had come to sell parts from his ship, but the guards stopped him. "Stay away from the last cell," they warned him. "There is a girl in there. She looks weak, but one bite from her can kill any alien." Eric raised his eyebrow. "Really? A little girl is that dangerous?" The guard nodded with fear in his eyes. "Her bite carries death. Flesh melts, bones turn to dust. She killed 4 guards already. She should be dead, but the boss wants to sell her as a weapon." Eric became curious. Humans were called Deathworlders, survivors of the most dangerous planet. Maybe that's why Eric didn't feel scared. Instead, he wanted to see her. He walked to the last cell. The door was thick, made of steel, with a small window. A sign was painted on the door. Warning, 1 bite death. Eric peered inside. In the dark corner, he saw her, a small alien girl, thin and pale, sat on the floor. Chains wrapped around her wrists, ankles, and even her neck. She looked more sad than dangerous. Her skin was silver blue, and her eyes glowed faintly, like stars. In the night, she didn't speak. She just stared at Eric through the window. For a moment, Eric felt a strange pull in his heart. She didn't look like a killer. She looked lonely. The station master walked up behind him. "Looking to buy her, human?" Eric shook his head. "I'm just curious. Why keep her alive if she's that dangerous?" The master smirked. "Because she's valuable. Her bite can kill any species. We tried testing her bite on animals, even big beasts. All dead within minutes. Imagine using her in war." Eric didn't like that. He looked again at the girl. She didn't blink, didn't move, just stared with those glowing eyes. She looked empty inside. "Does she talk?" Eric asked. "Only to warn people to stay away," the master said. "She says if she bites, you die. Simple." But Eric wasn't afraid. He tapped the window gently. "Hey girl, what's your name?" The girl's lips moved. A soft voice came out. "Sira." Eric smiled. "I'm Eric. Tell me, Sira, are you really that dangerous?" She stayed quiet for a moment, then whispered, "I don't want to hurt anyone, but my bite, it kills." Eric looked at her chains. She was small, weak, starving. He thought, how dangerous can she really be? That night, Eric couldn't sleep. He thought of her eyes, not eyes of a killer, but a prisoner. Something didn't feel right. He decided to visit her again. The guards had fallen asleep, drunk on alien wine. Eric quietly approached the cell. "Hey, Sira," he whispered. "I brought food." She looked up slowly. Her face was thin, lips dry, but her eyes widened slightly. "Don't come close. I'll bite," she warned. Eric smiled. "I'm human. You can bite me. Let's see if it kills me." Sira's eyes filled with fear. "No, I don't want to kill you." Eric unlocked the first chain. She didn't move. He unlocked the second. "Stop," she said, but her voice was weak. Finally, when Eric reached for the chain on her neck, she panicked. She lunged forward and bit his hand hard. She waited for him to fall dead. She waited for his skin to melt, his bones to crumble. But nothing happened. Eric just chuckled. "See? Still alive." Sira stared, shocked. "How?" "I'm human," Eric said. "We're built tough." But just then, an alarm sounded. The bite had triggered a sensor. Guards woke up. Loud footsteps echoed. "They'll kill you for freeing me," Sira whispered. Eric looked at his bitten hand. "Then we better run." He grabbed Sira's hand. It was cold, thin, but she didn't resist. The hallway lights flashed red. Voices shouted, "Stop them! Don't let the girl escape." Eric pulled Sira close, ready to fight his way out. He smiled and said, "Let's see how dangerous you really are." And together, they ran into the darkness of the station. Asterisk, the alarm screamed through the station. Red lights flashed in every hallway. Heavy boots thundered closer. The guards were awake, armed, and ready to kill. Eric ran, pulling Sierra along with him. Her small feet struggled to keep up, but she didn't ask him to stop. She still didn't understand how the human was alive. She had bitten him. Her sharp teeth sank deep into his hand. No alien had ever survived that. But Eric? He was still running, still breathing. No pain, no weakness. "Why didn't you die?" she asked between breaths. Eric laughed. "Humans are strange like that." Behind them, the guards shouted, "Stop! The girl's venom will doom us all. Kill the human too." Sierra's heart pounded. She had never been free from chains. She had never seen someone risk their life for her. Why would this man help? They reached a junction. Left path dead end, right path blocked. Eric cursed under his breath. "We're trapped." Sierra looked around. She saw a narrow ventilation shaft above. "There," she pointed. Eric boosted her up. She was so light, he lifted her easily. Then he climbed after her. Inside the vent, it was dark and tight, but safe for now. They crawled in silence. Then Sierra asked softly, "You're not afraid of me?" Eric shook his head. "No, I'm curious, but my bite, it kills," she whispered. "Yeah, well, it doesn't kill humans, I guess." Eric grinned. Sierra thought about that. Her people had always called humans monsters, deathworlders, because their home planet was violent, full of dangers. No other species could survive there. Maybe that's why her venom failed. But no one ever tested it on a human before. Suddenly, the vent shook. The guards had started shooting at it from below. Bullets slammed into the metal. "We have to keep moving," Eric said. But Sierra stopped him. "You should leave me. They only want me." "Save yourself." Eric looked at her. Her silver blue skin glowed faintly in the dark. She wasn't just some weapon. She was scared. She was lonely. "Listen, Sierra," he said. "Where I come from, we don't leave people behind." She stared at him, confused. "Why?" "Because it's the human thing to do," he smiled. They crawled further and found a vent that opened into a cargo bay. It was filled with crates, fuel tanks, and old ships. Eric pushed the vent open. "We'll hide in the shadows. Then I'll figure out a way to get us off this station." Sierra nodded, still surprised by his kindness. But then she asked, "What if I bite you again? What if it works the second time?" Eric chuckled. "Then you better aim for the neck next time." She blinked, unsure if he was joking or mad. "Aren't you afraid to die?" She whispered. "I've faced worse than a bite," Eric said. "I've faced my mother's cooking." Sierra laughed softly. It was the first time she laughed in years. It felt strange, like her chest was opening up after being shut for so long. Suddenly, footsteps echoed through the cargo bay. Soldiers marched in, scanning the area with flashlights. "They're here somewhere," a guard shouted. Eric pulled Sierra behind a tall crate. She crouched close to him, trembling. "I don't want to go back in chains," she whispered. Eric looked at her glowing eyes. "You won't, I promise. But I'll only bring you trouble. My venom... It attracts hunters." Eric frowned. "Hunters?" Sierra nodded. "The real danger is not my bite. It's what comes after." "What comes after?" Eric asked. She looked down. "There are creatures out there, in deep space. They can smell my venom. Any alien I bite... They hunt them. They won't stop until the marked one is dead." Eric's eyes widened. "That's why the guards are scared." "Yes, if I bite an alien, they're marked for death. But you... She looked at his hand, where the bite mark still glowed faintly but didn't burn. "You're not marked." Eric smiled proudly. Guess humans are invisible to those hunters. Sira was amazed. She had never heard of any species immune to her venom. Why did you bite me then? Eric teased. You unlocked my chains. I was scared, she admitted. I didn't want to kill you. But I didn't know what else to do. Eric's smile softened. It's okay. Sometimes we all bite when we're scared. Suddenly, a guard's light swept over their crate. There. Behind the crates. Eric grabbed Sira's hand. Run! They bolted, dodging lasers and gunfire. Eric spotted an old cargo ship nearby. If we reach that ship, we're getting out of here, he told her. Sira nodded, trusting him. Bullets flew past, but Eric ran faster, dragging Sira along. They climbed into the ship and slammed the hatch shut. The ship's engine coughed. Dusty and old but alive. Outside, the guard shouted, They won't escape. Send the message. If she bites the human, they'll bring the hunters here. Eric looked at Sira. Is that true? Will they come for us? Sira shook her head. No, you're not marked. They won't smell you. Eric grinned. Good, then let's fly. The engines roared and the ship blasted off, leaving the station. Behind, but as they flew into the stars, Sira whispered, But what if I bite you again? Eric chuckled. Then I'll just have to bite back. Sira laughed softly, feeling something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. They were free. But somewhere in space, something had still caught the scent. Something was watching, and the real danger was only beginning. The stolen ship rattled as Eric pushed the engines to full power. The old machine groaned like a dying beast, but it flew. Stars stretched into thin lines as they broke away from the station. Sira sat in the co-pilot seat, her hands trembling. She had never flown free, never left a place without chains on her body. She looked at Eric, his face calm, focused on the controls. We made it, Eric said, still smiling. They can't catch us now. But Sira wasn't smiling. She stared at his bitten hand. The bite mark still glowed faintly, like a soft blue light beneath his skin. Why aren't you afraid of me? She asked again. Eric chuckled. Because I think you're interesting. Sira looked away. Interesting? I'm a curse, a danger. Eric shook his head. No, you're just someone who needs help. But then the ship's sensors beeped loudly. A red warning flashed on the screen. Multiple ships approaching. Eric read. They launched hunters after us. Sira's heart dropped. I told you, they'll keep chasing me. Eric studied the scanner. Wait, these aren't the deep space hunters you mentioned. These are fighter ships. The station must have sent them to kill us before we spread your venom. Suddenly, lasers fired. The enemy ships caught up, surrounding them like wolves around a wounded deer. We can't fight them, Sira cried. We won't, Eric said. We'll run smarter. He flipped switches, diving the ship into an asteroid field nearby. Giant rocks floated in space, spinning slowly. One wrong move could crush them. Hold on. Eric shouted. The ship swerved hard, barely missing a spinning boulder. Enemy ships followed, but not all were skilled enough. One ship clipped a rock, exploding into bright fire. Sira watched Eric fly, his hands steady, his mind sharp. You're not just a traitor, are you? Eric smirked. I was a pilot in the Terran defense. I got tired of war. But some things, you never forget. Another enemy ship got too close. Eric suddenly cut the engines, letting the ship drift. The enemy overshot them, and Eric reignited the thrusters, shooting up. The enemy smashed into a giant asteroid, destroyed in an instant. Sira's eyes widened. She had never seen anyone fight without firing a single shot. You're crazy, she whispered. I've been called worse, Eric said, grinning. But then the last enemy ship locked onto them, firing a missile. The rocket roared toward them. We can't outrun that. Sira shouted. Eric's eyes darted across the controls. Then we'll blind it. He pulled a lever, releasing old cargo crates from the ship's hold. The crates floated behind them, confusing the missile sensors. The missile struck the crates instead. Boom! An explosion lit up the asteroid field. Eric pushed the engines harder, leaving the last enemy ship lost in the debris. Silence returned. Only the hum of the engine remained. "We made it," Eric breathed out. Sierra was speechless. She looked at this strange human, her bite mark still glowing on his hand. "Why do you risk so much for me?" she asked. Eric looked at her, his smile softer now. "Because no one deserves to live in chains." Sierra's eyes burned. She had no words for the strange warmth in her chest. But just as she opened her mouth to speak, the ship's sensors beeped again. The screen showed strange readings. Something big was following them. "What's that?" Eric asked. Sierra's face turned pale. "That's them, the real hunters." Eric looked closer. Far behind, in the cold dark of space, a massive shadow moved. It wasn't a ship, it was alive. A giant creature, black as the void, with too many eyes and long, sharp limbs. "They can smell me," Sierra whispered. "They're coming." Eric stared at the screen. His voice was serious now. "Then we need a plan." "You can't fight them," Sierra said. "They're older than time itself. They exist to erase the marked." Eric flexed his bitten hand. The glow was fading, but still faintly there. "But I'm still not marked. Right?" he asked. "No. But I don't know why," Sierra admitted. "You're human. Maybe that makes you untraceable." Eric grinned. "Good, then let's use that." Sierra looked confused. "What do you mean? We'll let them chase us somewhere?" "Somewhere I can fight smart," Eric said. Sierra shook her head. "You're mad. No one survives the hunters." Eric looked her straight in the eyes. "I'm human. We don't survive because we're the strongest. We survive because we're stubborn." Sierra laughed softly, shaking her head. "You're insane." "Maybe, but if I can trick those hunters. Maybe you won't have to run forever." Sierra's chest felt heavy. No one had ever tried to save her like this. No one had ever looked at her and seen more than a curse. "You don't even know me," she whispered. Eric smiled. "Then let's survive long enough for me to find out." Outside in the cold dark, the hunter creature's many eyes blinked. And the real chase had just begun. Asterisk space was never truly silent, not when you knew something was following you. In the cockpit of the old cargo ship, Eric stared at the radar. Behind them, a massive blip moved slowly, like a shadow swimming in a dark sea. It didn't blink. It didn't hurry. It was hunting. Sierra sat in the co-pilot seat, knees pulled to her chest, watching the shadow on the screen. Her silver-blue skin looked even paler under the dim lights. "They never stop," she whispered. "Once they smell my venom, they follow until their prey is gone." Eric glanced at his hand. The bite mark Sierra had left on him had stopped glowing. It was just a faint bruise now. "But I'm still alive," Eric muttered. "Why didn't it mark me like it does with others?" Sierra shook her head. "I don't know. My people, my species. We were born with this curse. Our venom marks the soul of any alien we bite. The mark is invisible but clear to the hunters. No one escapes. Except you." Eric smiled faintly. Perks of being human. But Sierra wasn't smiling. She was watching Eric with a strange, almost fearful look. "You don't understand," she said softly. "My bite shouldn't just kill the body. It should mark the spirit. Even the dead are hunted. Their remains destroyed. But you." She stood up, stepping closer, eyes locked on him. "You didn't die, and you weren't marked." Eric chuckled. "Maybe I don't have a soul." Sierra didn't laugh. "Or maybe your soul is different. Too wild. Too dangerous." Eric raised an eyebrow. "You think my soul scares them?" Sierra's eyes shimmered with fear and wonder. "I don't know. But if the hunters can't sense you, maybe they can't kill you either." Eric grinned. "That's good news then." But Sierra shook her head. No, it's not that simple. If they can't mark you, they might try to break me instead. I'm the source. Eric's smile faded. You think they'll come after you directly? Sierra nodded. Then I won't let them get that close, Eric said, determination in his voice. But Sierra looked down. You can't fight them. No one ever has. Eric stood up, walked over to her, and gently lifted her chin. You've never had a human. With you before, he said softly. We don't like losing. Sierra's heart pounded. She didn't understand this man. Why was he risking so much? You barely know me, she whispered. I know enough, Eric replied. You didn't ask for this curse. And you're not a weapon, her breath caught. No one had ever said that to her before. But before she could speak, the radar beeped again, this time louder. Eric checked. The screen. They're closing in. Suddenly, Sierra grabbed his hand, staring at the faded bite mark. We have one chance, she said. I'm listening. My bite. I've only used it to harm. But there's another side. An old story. My ancestors told of a venom that could protect, if shared willingly. If I bite you again, not out of fear, but by choice, maybe it will shield you. Eric stared at her. Shield me from what? From their gaze, she said, voice shaking. From being seen. They don't just smell venom, they sense intent. If I give it to you with trust, maybe they'll pass us by. Eric raised an eyebrow. So ... You want to bite me again? She nodded, nervous. Yes, but only if you trust me. Eric laughed softly. Sure, but next time try to avoid the hand. Maybe aim for the shoulder. Sierra smiled faintly then. Stepped closer. She hesitated. No one had ever let her get close like this without chains, without fear. Are you sure? She asked. Eric looked her in the eyes. Bite away. Gently, Sierra bit his shoulder, not with anger, not with panic. It was soft, careful. Eric winced but didn't pull away. This time, the glow from her bite was different, golden. Warm, not deadly blue. Sierra pulled back, staring at the light spreading through his skin like glowing veins. It's done, she whispered. Eric felt ... different. Stronger. As if something ancient wrapped around his soul. The radar stopped beeping. Eric and Sierra looked at the screen. The shadow of the hunter was still there. But it wasn't chasing any more. It floated in the distance, watching, but not approaching. Ira gasped. It worked. They can't see you. Eric grinned. Told you I'm hard to kill, but Sierra looked worried. They're still watching though. They never stop watching. Eric nodded. Let them watch. If they ever come close again, they'll learn why humans are called Deathworlders. Sierra smiled faintly, a flicker of hope in her chest. Thank you, Eric, she whispered. We're not done yet, he said. We just bought time. Now, let's find a place where we can end this curse for good. Outside, the dark creature floated, too many eyes blinking slowly. Confused. It had sensed many species, but never a human, and for the first time, the hunter hesitated. For hours, the hunter's shadow followed them across space, but never came closer. It hovered, watched, waited, as if studying Eric and Sierra from the darkness between stars. Eric kept the ship moving, but even he knew the fuel wouldn't last forever. The old cargo ship coughed and rattled, barely holding together. Sierra sat quietly, watching the shadow on the radar. She hugged her knees, her glowing eyes fixed on the screen. They're still there, she whispered. They don't understand what you are, Eric. You confuse them. Eric smirked. Good, let them be confused. But inside, even Eric knew it couldn't last. Eventually, the hunter would stop watching and start attacking. Suddenly, the ship's console beeped sharply. A distress signal. Faint, but clear. Eric tapped the controls. There's a colony station nearby, small ... half abandoned. We can't land, Sierra warned. If the hunters see a crowd, they'll come. Eric nodded. I know. But we need supplies, repairs, and I have an idea. He didn't explain further. He just smiled that same stubborn human smile that Sierra was starting to trust. Minutes later, they landed on the cracked surface of the colony's landing platform. The place looked dead, metal structures rusted, walls covered in space dust, lights flickering weakly. Yet, someone was alive here. A small group of aliens peeked from behind walls, watching the human and the silver-skinned girl step off the ship. Sierra shrank back, pulling her hood up to hide her glow. They'll know what I am. Eric waved at the cautious crowd. We don't want trouble, just food, fuel, and maybe a mechanic. An old alien stepped forward, skin dark and wrinkled, with deep-set eyes. We heard the stories, the elder said. A girl whose bite summons death. And the human who can't be marked. Eric smiled politely. Seems word travels fast. And if the hunters follow you here, the elder warned, you'll bring doom on all of us. Eric nodded. That's why we'll leave before they get close. But I need something first. A trap. The elder's eyes narrowed. A trap? For the hunters? Maybe, Eric shrugged, but humans are famous for doing foolish things that work. Reluctantly, the aliens helped them. Supplies were loaded, the ship patched up, and Eric worked on something in secret, a strange machine with coils, emitters, and a power core. Sierra watched him work, confused. What are you building? Eric wiped sweat from his brow. A beacon? A beacon? One that emits your venom's scent, Eric explained. But boosted but multiplied 1,000 times. If the hunters smell that, they'll come running. Sierra's eyes widened. But why? Why lure them here? Eric smiled darkly. Because I'm going to teach them that hunting humans is a mistake. She stared at him, both afraid and amazed. You really are a death worlder, Eric chuckled. I'll take that as a compliment. But before the beacon could even be finished, the sky above the colony darkened. Not with clouds, but with shadows. Moving, crawling, writhing. The hunter had arrived. It didn't come alone. From the void, other shadows followed, smaller than the first, but fast and sharp. Like insects made of bone and night, the colony shook as the first of them landed. The ground cracked under their weight. Sierra gasped. They've never sent this many. They're afraid. Eric stood, facing the dark horizon. Good, let them be. The elder screamed. You've brought them. You've doomed us all. Eric grabbed Sierra's hand. Get to the ship. Stay there. What about you? She asked, panic rising. I need to finish the beacon. If this works, they'll follow the signal, not us. But Sierra didn't move. You'll die. Eric looked back at her, smiled gently. Not today. He ran toward his half-finished device, wires and metal, scattered on the ground. His hands moved fast, connecting cables, fixing the core. But the first hunter was already approaching. A giant mass of black limbs, countless eyes staring, not just at his body, but at his soul. It paused. Eric was glowing. The bite mark, faint before, now shone like a small sun beneath his skin. Come on, you ugly thing, Eric muttered. Smell this. With a final spark, the beacon activated. A pulse of energy spread out, carrying Sierra's venom signature across the air, but not from her. From the machine, the hunters screamed, not like animals, but like ancient, broken gods. They lunged not at Sierra or Eric, but at the beacon. Desperate to destroy it, Eric ran back toward the ship as the creatures tore the ground apart. Blinded by the overwhelming scent, Sierra waited at the hatch, eyes wide with fear. You did it, she whispered as Eric stumbled in. For now, Eric panted, but that won't hold them forever. The colony elder stared as the ship's engines roared. You'll lead them away? The elder asked. Eric nodded. I'll make sure they chase us and forget you. And with that, the ship lifted off, speeding into the sky. Behind them, the colony burned, but the hunters followed the human, not the people left behind. Sierra stared at Eric, heart pounding. "Why?" she whispered. Eric smiled faintly. "Because humans don't run from monsters, we teach them fear." And far behind in the dark, the hunters followed this time, not sure if they were chasing prey or bait. The ship's engines groaned under the pressure, but Eric didn't slow down. Behind them, the hunters chased silent shadows slicing through space, faster than anything natural. Sierra stood by the window, staring at the black void, her eyes fixed on the terrible creatures. She had seen them before, but never this many, never this eager. "They should have stopped," she whispered to herself. The beacon was enough. Eric kept his hand steady on the controls. "Maybe they don't want the scent anymore. Maybe they want me." Sierra turned to him sharply. "But you're not marked. You're still immune." Eric nodded. "Yeah, but what if that's what makes them angry? What if I'm the first prey they can't mark? Maybe that makes me unfinished. To them." Sierra swallowed hard. "Then they'll keep chasing us forever." Eric chuckled darkly. "Forever's a long time. I plan to end this before that." She walked closer, her small hand resting gently on his bitten shoulder. The glow from her venom still faintly pulsed beneath his skin, but it didn't spread. Like it should have, it was contained, quiet, but alive. "You're not like any species I've met," Sierra admitted. "Your body, your soul, it's wrong to them." Eric grinned. "I've been told I'm difficult before." But then the ship shuddered violently. A hunter slammed into their tail engine, causing sparks to fly. The ship dropped, spiraling. Sierra screamed as Eric fought the controls. "We're going down." But they weren't near any planet. They were crashing into an old, shattered space hulk, a dead shipwreck floating in the void, the graveyard of some forgotten battle. Eric barely managed to steer them into a crash landing. The ship slammed into the debris, metal twisting, glass cracking, alarms wailing. Silence fell, heavy and sharp. Eric groaned, unstrapping himself. "You alive?" Sierra coughed but nodded. "Yes. We're trapped." Eric stood, checking the ship's systems. The engine was dead. Power low. No more running. Outside, the hunters circled, waiting, watching. "They know we can't escape," Sierra said softly. Eric stared out through the cracked glass. "Good, let them come." "You'll fight them?" she asked. "I have to." "But you'll die," she whispered. Eric turned, looked her straight in the eyes. "Maybe, but if I don't try, we both die." Sierra's throat tightened. No one had ever stood between her and the hunters before. No one ever survived her bite. And yet, this human, this stubborn creature, was standing. "There's something wrong with me," Eric said quietly, flexing his bitten shoulder. "Your bite should have marked me, but instead, it's like it changed me." Sierra stepped closer. She placed her glowing hands on his chest, feeling the faint pulse of her venom inside him. But it was different now, like it had merged with his human soul. "It's not killing you," she said. "It's becoming part of you." Eric nodded. "Maybe that's why they want me." She looked into his eyes, silver meeting brown. "I don't want you to die because of me," she whispered. "You won't lose me," Eric said. "But I need your help." "How?" Eric smirked. "Bite me again." She blinked, shocked. But, I'm serious. I think the venom is adapting inside me. Every time you bite, it gets stronger, but it doesn't kill me. Maybe it's changing me into something new." Sierra hesitated, her heart pounding. "No one survives 3 bites from my kind." "Then I'll be the first," Eric said, holding out his arm, trembling. Sierra leaned forward and bit him again, this time deeper. Eric gasped, pain flashing through him, but then warmth spread. The veins around the bite lit up golden, bright, and strong. Sierra stared in awe. It's working. It's fusing with you. Eric stood, power humming under his skin. Outside, the hunters shrieked, a sound of confusion. And fear. They feel it, Sira whispered. They don't understand you. They're afraid. Eric grabbed his weapon, a simple plasma rifle. But now his hand glowed with power, the venom and human resilience combined. Time to show them why humans don't just die easy, Eric said. Sira watched him move to the hatch, ready to step out into the void and face the hunters alone. Eric, she called. He turned, eyes fierce. Why are you really doing this? Eric smiled softly. Because you bit me. That means we're connected now, and humans. We protect the ones who mark us. Sira's chest tightened. For the first time, the curse she carried didn't feel like a curse anymore. It felt like a bond. Eric stepped out into the wreckage. The hunters waited, but now, so did something new. Something they couldn't mark. Something human. And as the first hunter lunged, Eric raised his glowing hand, smiling. Come on then. Let's see who hunts who. The first hunter charged, its long limbs slicing through space, its many eyes glowing with hunger. It wasn't just chasing prey, it was chasing a mistake. A human that didn't die, a soul that refused to be marked. Eric stood his ground on the cold wreckage, his shoulders still glowing where Sira's bite had transformed him. The venom inside his body pulsed with golden energy, fusing with his blood, his bones, his very soul. Sira watched from the broken ship, heart pounding. She wanted to run to him, but she knew she couldn't. This was a fight between the unmarked human and the nightmare creatures who had haunted her entire life. The hunter lunged, but the moment it touched Eric, something happened. It screamed. Scream that shook the air, like the sound of stars shattering. The creature's black skin burned where it touched Eric's hand. The human's golden glow spread, searing through the hunter's flesh like sunlight melting shadow. Eric grinned. Yeah, that's right. Not so fun when your prey bites back, huh? More hunters closed in, surrounding him. But none of them dared touch him directly now. They circled, shrieking, uncertain. Eric could feel it, not just his body, but something deeper. His spirit was wrong to them, alien to them. A human soul, mixed with Sira's venom, was something they couldn't understand, couldn't consume. You smell me now, don't you? Eric said, stepping forward. I'm not prey. I'm a predator, a deathworlder. One of the smaller hunters, braver than the rest, darted forward. Eric grabbed it mid-jump, his glowing hand gripping its skull. The creature burned instantly, collapsing into ash and smoke. The others screeched again, backing away. Inside the ship, Sira's eyes filled with wonder and fear. He's changing, she whispered. He's becoming more than human. But she wasn't afraid of him. She was afraid for him. Eric stood tall, surrounded by monsters that were finally realizing they weren't the only predators in the dark. Tell your masters, Eric growled, his voice deeper, stronger. Humans can't be marked. We mark you. The hunters shrieked one last time and fled into the void, their forms twisting and disappearing into black space. Afraid of what they couldn't kill, silence fell. Eric's glow dimmed, his strength fading as the golden light receded beneath his skin. He dropped to one knee, breathing hard. Sira ran from the ship, falling to her knees beside him. Eric, she cried, grabbing his shoulders. He smiled weakly. Still alive. You scared them off, she whispered. You did it. Eric chuckled faintly. Yeah, but I don't think I can do that again anytime soon. His body was shaking, the venom inside him now calm, resting. But it had changed him permanently. Something inside him wasn't fully human anymore. Sira touched his face, her fingers trembling. You could have died. Eric looked at her, his smile soft. I'd rather die fighting than live running. She didn't know why, but tears filled her eyes. She had lived so long as a curse, a danger, something everyone feared. But this man had turned her curse into a shield, into power. "I'm sorry I bit you," she whispered. Eric laughed. "I'm not. Best thing that happened to me." She smiled through her tears, her glowing eyes meeting his. "What are you now?" Eric shrugged. "Still human. Just improved." Sierra helped him up. Together, they stood on the wreckage, stars shining overhead. "What will we do now?" she asked. Eric looked at the empty space where the hunters had vanished. "They'll tell others that humans aren't prey. Maybe next time they'll think twice before chasing us." Sierra nodded, but then looked down. "I'm still a danger to others." "Not to me," Eric said. She looked up sharply. He smiled. "You're my partner now. That venom in me? It means we're connected. I'm your shield, and you're my strength." Sierra's throat tightened. "You bonded to me?" Eric chuckled. "I think that's what happens when someone bites you 3 times. Sierra laughed, a real warm laugh. She hadn't laughed like that in years. "Then I guess I'll stop biting you now." "Good," Eric teased. "I'm running out of places to get bitten." Together, they returned to the ship. It was battered, but it would fly. Somewhere out there, the galaxy still spun with dangers. But Eric and Sierra had become something new, something the universe had never seen before. A human immune to death. An alien girl who no longer needed to run. Together, they were a bond forged by venom and defiance. And in the dark places of space, whispers would spread. "Beware the girl with the deadly bite." And the humans she marked, because they don't run. They hunt.